video series with the Buffalo Trempealeau Farm Network. We're going to start off this with Bill. Bill, why don't you tell us about yourself and where we are today?
My name is Bill Sylla. I'm from Whitehall. We're standing out one of the fields that we planted for the Pollinator project through the NRCS office. It's actually for the monarch butterflies and pollinators. So this is one of the fields that we seeded down last year, and this is on the second year. So they say in the first year it sleeps, the second year it creeps, and the third year it leaps. So for this being the second year, it's actually looking pretty good. I mean, earlier we had a lot of black-eyed Susans out here, and you can see these are kind of past, but next year they'll be back again. But it's a pretty good view, if you ask me.
Yeah, so why don't you tell us a little bit more about your farm other than this?
Other than this, I'm actually a poultry farmer, so I raise broilers, and then we raise corn and soybeans, and then we also got the strawberry farm.
So how long have you been farming? How long has this been going on?
I've been farming since roughly about 2008, after my dad passed away I started. But the Pollinator project, this is just my second year into this with the monarchs and everything.
So besides you, who's all involved in this farm? Is there more people, just a few other people?
The farm is now just me and my wife and my two kids. My brother used to be involved, but he decided to go a different direction. So it's just four of us.
All right. So you already kind of explained that you do chickens and then some corn and soybeans. Is there anything else plus strawberries?
No. We custom poultry service.
Okay.
So we do that too. We custom housekeep barns.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right. So explain the landscape that you farm in, the crop rotation, soil slopes, and anything else that you might want to add.
The farmland that we grow crops on is very diverse. We got farms and land that's pretty sandy. Like this is one of the sandier fields we got. We got some clay. We got some flat fields like this one here. It's pretty flat. And we got some fields that are really steep. Mm-hmm. And we actually just planted another section into a monarch and a pollinator project onto a really steep field. And we're on the first year there. Mm-hmm. And I had to do some mowing, and it's actually so steep that when I mowed it 2 days ago, mm-hmm. I just set the auto steer in my tractor and I just held on to one bar on one side of the cab and one bar on the other side, and the tires were pointing sideways, and I was sliding down the hill and the mower was sliding down behind me.
Yeah, so
I
really
mean,
steep.
It's steep, and that's the type of landscape we got here in Trempealeau County. Mm-hmm. And the reason we went this route with the pollinator and the monarch habitat and all that is because everybody knows that corn prices today are bad.
Right.
You got to look at what made me get into this is return on investment. Mm-hmm. You know, you can plant corn here. We always planted corn here. Always planted beans here. We did. Mm-hmm. When we had rain, we had nice crops. Right. But when we had a drought like we got this year, mm-hmm. I've combined this whole field and didn't fill my hopper on my combine one year.
Right.
And this field is 23 acres. Mm-hmm. So that makes a pretty easy decision that we got to start looking at another venue, or however you want to put it, on what to do with this land.
You talked about mowing earlier in the other field, so why do you mow?
Well, the first year we mow to kind of keep down the invasive species. And when we plant the first year, we also put a cover crop with it, and we got to mow that down before it gets so high. And then after the first year, we just got to mow to keep the good plant vigor. And sometimes we'll do a spot mowing if there's an invasive species coming in, and we got to try to cut that back. But it's just to keep a good prairie. I mean, you want a nice, beautiful looking natural prairie like this one is. Mm-hmm. So all the habitat can thrive in it. There
you go. Right. So then what benefits have you seen already in this prairie, or what are more to come?
One of the benefits I've seen, this year's a great example of this, because one of the main benefits, if I didn't have this here, it would have probably been corn or beans. Mm-hmm. And right now it would all dried up. My corn would have looked like pineapples, and my beans would have disappeared, right. Probably. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the primary benefits this year with no rain. Mm-hmm. But I mean, when you drive by it and you see it, it looks nice. I mean, and if we can get more people to take marginal land like this out of production and get it into something like this that'll benefit. We're running out of bees, we're running out of butterflies, all that's disappearing. And if we can get more marginal land out of production, maybe our price will go up.
Right. Now, earlier you were talking about carbon. Do you want to expand on that and the carbon reduction that this helps with?
On this 23-acre field, we will sequester about 26 tons of carbon a year. So that's equal to about 5.5 cars.
Yep. So that's like taking 5.5 cars off the road that will produce that carbon to help with all of the global climate change and that kind of thing, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So we're not only helping out the wildlife, we're helping out ourselves as well.
Exactly. So then, have you seen any challenges with this prairie land? You've only been doing it for 2 years. So have you seen any challenges, or has it been kind of smooth sailing?
I haven't seen any challenges yet. My biggest challenge, and whoever does this, you got to find somebody with a native grass drill to get the seed in the ground. And that's, there's not everybody has one of those. Just a plain old grain drill doesn't work. I didn't even try it, but from what I'm told, a native grass drill is something you need for this. You need some mowing equipment, that's some challenges. But other than that, I haven't really experienced any challenges. When I put this in, I worked with the NRCS office, and they helped me get on this program. And I mean, they're always willing to work with you. If you go down there, just talk to them. It's a great thing.
So, you kind of mentioned this earlier, but how did you determine that this was the field that you were going to plant and then the other one?
When you get everybody, well, most everybody nowadays has yield monitors in their combines, and they keep track of their yields. And like I said, we're working with Scott Stipetich from Pheasants Forever, and he's helping us in the farmer-led network he'll help us determine which fields make us more money and which fields are losing us money. So that's what you need to look at. And this field, like I said, some years made me money, but most years it cost me money.
Right. Okay.
So that's why I decided to go this route.
So do you plan on using this approach for any of the other fields that you haven't used it on yet?
If the prices stay where they are and the opportunity comes up, I'll be looking at either more of this, or some other type of program, or you got to keep your options open.
So Bill, would you share with us where your producer-led group is located?
I'm part of the Buffalo Trempealeau Farmer-led network, and it's actually the Elk Creek Watershed group. Some of us are out of the boundaries a little bit, but I mean, we don't hold against anybody. We're all just trying to accomplish and see what we can do better.
So why did you join this group, and what were your expectations coming in, and what are they now?
When I first joined this group, we were actually doing a nitrogen use efficiency study, and that was partnered with Discovery Farms out of Pigeon. And that got my interest for how we could cut back on the nutrients we're applying to the soil and to raise our crop, and how we can cut back so we quit getting runoff. And then with the cover cropping and how we can just save. We got to cut back and save where we can on raising these crops because the crop prices are so low.
So then what are some issues that you face in this watershed?
In the watershed around here, we got a lot of diversity in the land. We got sandy land, we got clay, we got flat land, we got hills. So when you got hills, in the last few years, they've been getting foreign trains. So a lot of your nutrients want to leave, so we got to figure out how to stop that, how we can improve. We don't want to be a problem. We don't want to get to the point where the state's going to govern us on what we can do as farmers. If we take the initiative and get out ahead of this thing, we'll all be better off.
So what conservation practices or innovative approaches is your group doing well?
Well, I think I mentioned that our group is kind of doing, we've been doing cover cropping, we've been doing interseeding into standing beans with either broadcasting, and now we're going to try doing another guy in the group got a rotary hose set up for interseeding between beans, so they're going to try that. And then we've been working with Scott Stipetich from Pheasants Forever on a return on investment. So he'll help us go through and with our yield maps and tell us where we're losing and where we're making money.
Yep. So when you say interseeding, for those who don't know, it's planting different things in between the rows, correct?
Yep. When we do interseeding, we either go in with a HWY, a broadcast spread over top machine. We'll drive right through standing beans. We'll get something growing on the ground before we even take the beans off. There's guys trying to do it in corn, but now we're going to, with the rotary hoe now, we're going to interseed. That'll actually plant the rye in between the bean rows. And another guy in the group has one of those machines set up.
Gotcha. So how would a farmer reach out to participate in the Watershed group, and then what benefits would they receive? So who could they contact?
Well, you can contact any of the members in the group. Once a year before the COVID hit, we were having a meeting, a day-long meeting, get together. We always advertise that in the papers and stuff, where we would showcase what we were doing and talk about other innovative ideas. That would work. Otherwise, if you drive around and see one of the Watershed signs, look for the farm nearby and stop and talk to the farmer.
All right, last question today. Would you consider doing this kind of field on any of your other fields that you have?
Yeah, I would consider this practice or another practice. When you look at your return on investment, and like I talked about earlier, it's not just about the money you invest out here that you don't get back. It's about the that you didn't get of the crop. It's the money that you spent to get the crop. So you also lost money. So I'd be better off some years just letting this sit idle. But why let it sit idle and become weeds when you can do something like this with it?
Right, something that'll benefit anything.
It'll benefit. And like I said, we raise strawberries right down the road from here. So if we got a big pollinator patch, right now I got a pollinator fields on 3 sides of me I've got planted, all within a mile.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for talking with us today and educating everybody else about what you do here. So when they're driving by, they can see your beautiful flowers and they can see that it's helping the butterflies and our air.
Yep. Thank you. And when you drive by, just be careful for the butterflies.
Great. So let's take a walk and we can see exactly what's going on in this field.
Okay, so we're in for a walk through our pollinator patch, and this is actually one of the black-eyed Susans that we had found. And earlier, about 2-3 weeks ago, we were down here and looking at it, and the field was full of these. And now this is what they look like today. Their season's already passed, but next year it'll be full of these again. It was just beautiful a few weeks ago. And I got Scott Stipetich's here also from Pheasants Forever, and he'll give you some more names of the flowers that we have here in the prairie.
You were going to call them weeds, Bill.
Sorry.
So you stated that this is a planting for monarch butterflies.
Yep.
So of course we got to have milkweed. So this is common milkweed here.
Caterpillars love that.
Yep. So the caterpillars actually need that one.
Yep.
That's the only species that they'll forage on in order to become a butterfly. And actually you have 2 different types of milkweeds in your planting. So that one was common milkweed. This one's called swamp milkweed. So
Okay.
one has a kind of a white pink flower and the other's a pretty bright pink flower. We couldn't find any of those flowering today. But again, this is the second year of the prairie. It's creeping. Next year it's leaping. We would expect those species to be flowering. Some of the other ones that I found, this one was pretty prominent today.
Yep, we got a lot of that out here today.
So this is evening primrose. So a real showy flower. It gets real big. It's got like a woody stem on it, so bees will nest in that stem actually. So that one would look nice on the table.
Ooh, I dropped one.
Let's see. This one is rough leaf sunflower. So that one will get quite a bit taller in years to come. Probably 4 or 5 feet.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That'll be nice.
Yeah. So another yellow one. This one is called sneezeweed. Not sure where it gets its name from, but a good one for pollinators.
Okay.
This one we're catching a lot of scent in this field today. It can't be relayed on camera, but this is bergamot. And so if you think of bergamot tea or stuff like that, if you were to roll those leaves, you would get that scent really strong. Here,
Oh.
that has a nice purple flower on it typically. Of course, that one's past blooming right now too. Just a few more here, maybe some of the more showier ones. So this is great blue lobelia.
Well, that was pretty cool.
A purple one. And then the last one that I want to show here on camera, so this is one of the grass species that we put in here. The grass really helps add structure and kind of place refugia for our insects to nest on. So this is big blue stem. It's also known as turkey foot, and it's because of the seed head kind of looks like a turkey track, if you think about it.
Huh.
Just a little flavor. I think you have, you know, over 20 species planted out here. You know, we maybe went over 6 or 7 of them, but lots more out here, lots more to come.
Well, it's going to be pretty exciting to see what it looks like next year.
You bet.
It'll be fun to see it.
Thank you both.
Yeah.
Thank you, Scott, and thank you, Kendra.
You're welcome. Well, thank you so much for giving us a little insight about what you do here with the butterfly and pollinators prairie. So why don't you tell everybody before we leave where they can come and see all the pretty flowers?
Well, if you want to come and see how the pollinator project is coming along, we're located right across the Town of Lincoln shop, Town of Lincoln Hall, and by the Trempealeau County hot mix plant, the Trempealeau County buildings. And we're actually right next door to the Trempealeau River, right behind those trees. So when you want, come on down, check it out, but when you come in, just watch out for the monarchs crossing the road.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.